Buongiorno a tutti, benvenuti in questa masterclass. Io do il benvenuto innanzitutto a tutte le classi partecipanti e anche e soprattutto a tutti gli appassionati e curiosi che ci stanno seguendo su Facebook in diretta. Questa masterclass è una collaborazione tra Bergamo Film Meeting e l'European Film Factory. Bergamo Film Meeting è un festival di cinema che si svolge ogni anno nella città proprio di Bergamo. All'interno del programma di Bergamo Film Meeting c'è innanzitutto ci sono oltre alle varie appunto sezioni, c'è una sezione dedicata al cinema d'animazione e una sezione dedicata alle scuole. Questa sezione è completamente gratuita ed è dedicata a scuole di ogni ordine e grado, quindi è per bambini, per ragazzi. All'interno di questa sezione non solo lungometraggi, ma anche cortometraggi di animazione, perché collaboriamo ogni anno con un festival di cinema d'animazione diverso. Abbiamo incontri con gli esperti, incontri con gli autori e quindi questa masterclass è innanzitutto un orgoglio, non solo perché è in collaborazione proprio con l'European Film Factory che con noi condivide un obiettivo fondamentale, cioè l'educazione all'audiovisivo per soprattutto i più giovani. E quindi io ringrazierei tutte le classi partecipanti, le classi italiane, ma anche tutte quelle europee che hanno, insomma, si sono iscritte numerosissime. Ringrazio la nostra traduttrice per le classi italiane, Maura. Ringrazio l'European Film Factory, in modo particolare Adeline e Lucie, perché comunque in questi mesi di lavoro si è instaurato un rapporto che sono felicissima di dire che è anche un'amicizia. E soprattutto grazie mille a Tomm, che io parlo personalmente, ma sicuramente parlo a nome di molti quando dico che Tomm è una delle personalità più importanti dal punto di vista del cinema e non solo di animazione, questo ci tenevo insomma a specificarlo. Quindi speriamo di collaborare presto, non solo con l'European Film Factory, ma anche con te Tomm. Ti ringrazio tantissimo e quindi a presto.
Thank you very much, Diana. Dear Tomm, dear students and teachers, it is a great pleasure to organize this online masterclass in collaboration with Bergamo Film Meeting. Our warmest thanks to the festival for these partnerships with the European Film Factory. So the European Film Factory is the film education platform of the Institut Français, the French Cultural Institute. It has been developed with the support of the Creative Europe Media Program of the European Commission in partnership with our two partners, Arte Education and European SchoolNet. It is a great honor to have the film The Secret of Kells in our program and of course in the film catalog of the platform, and to have with us its director
della piattaforma ed avere con noi il suo regista Tomm Moore.
Thank you very much.
Hello, nice to see you here on screen, but we are very happy to welcome you here today. You are one of the most important filmmakers in animation today. And actually 3 days ago, you attended the Academy Awards ceremony for your last film, Wolf Wakers, that has been nominated as Best Animated Feature Film. It was actually the 5th time you were nominated for an Oscar, and the first being for your first film, The Secret of Chaos, of which we're gonna talk about today. The Secret of Chaos was released in 2009, and you co-directed the film with Nora Toomey. We say hello to Nora. She's not with us today, but we think of her. And all the students with us today have, of course, watched your film, and they have discussed it with the teachers as well. We have here around the screen or behind the screens at home 30 classes from all around Europe. they are attending this masterclass today. And there will be 6 classes that will be asking you questions this morning. They are from, so I will name now the 6 schools. They are from the Rocco Bovio Palumbo School, Trani in Italy. The Zangale Secondary School in Slampe in Latvia, the 9th Euronas Secondary School in Athens, Greece, the Caterina da Siena Technical Institute in Milano, Italy, the Carlo Alberto dalla Chiesa Institute in Sesto Calende, Italy. Sorry for my pronunciation. I hope I say it correctly. And the St. Kilian's German School in Dublin, Ireland. So I will now give you the floor, Tom, so that you can introduce this masterclass and your film, and then the students will ask you their questions. So I wanted to really say thank you again. And so to you, Tom, and to all the students that have discovered your film, and to the teachers whose motivation made this masterclass today possible. And of course, thank you again to our partner, the Bergamo Film Meeting. Yes, and the floor is now yours.
Well, thank you all very much for having me here. I'm really delighted. I'll give a short introduction to the movie, and then I'm happy to take all the questions you want. And I will leave my my screen shared so that you can so that we can see some images. So this was the original name of the movie, and in some territories it's still Brendan. I think in France it was still Brendan and the Secret of Kells. We made it shorter for most of the English-speaking world. And even though it was released in 2009, we worked on it for a long time before. So this was in the middle of production in 2007, which I'm sure is prehistory for most of the students looking today. So this was the team, and a lot of this team we still work with today on the latest movies in the same studio in Kilkenny in Ireland. And the movie was inspired by the Book of Kells, which is Ireland's national manuscript, the national treasure, and it's a manuscript from the 9th century, and all the beautiful decoration and designs. There's plenty of mysteries, plenty of secrets in the Book of Kells that we still don't know the answer to. How did they do this in so long ago? And the movie looks quite different probably from anything you saw before, because we tried to make it look like artwork from the Middle Ages, artwork from this time period, which doesn't really look like artwork today. It's very different, it's very strange, we don't have real perspective, and lots of strange things happen in artwork from that time period. So I'm sure you'll have some questions about that. So anyway, I'm going to leave my slideshow here, and I'm happy to start taking questions from anybody who wants to ask me questions.
Hi everyone, so thank you very much, Tom. And so I am Adeline Chauveau from the Institut Français, and I will be the one moderating the discussion today. So thank you for those beautiful images and this interesting introduction. So it's allowing all of us to understand better your work and the film The Secret of Kells. So the students have watched it on the European Film Factory platform. And so talking about students, right now it will be their turn. But before, just a small technical reminder to everyone before starting. Each class has around 10 minutes to ask questions, and each student who speaks can say their first name and their school name, but not their last name due to data protection reasons. And so I will also kindly ask all the other students to keep their microphones off if not speaking, so that we can avoid background noises. And as a reminder, we have a simultaneous Italian translation. So by clicking on the small Italian button on the right down corner of your screen. And so the first class that will ask you questions is the class of Mrs. Marilina Lonigro from the Rocco Bovio Palumbo School in Trani, Italy. Sorry for my accent. Mrs. Marilina Lonigro is also part of the European Film Factory focus group of teachers who created the educational materials of the film. So as an introduction to the students' questions, we will share a great work that they did around the film. And so it will be about the links that they established between the film and reality. So I will ask Pierre to share his screen. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh wow.
Sì,
It's a time
devi
machine.
vedere bene nello schermo.
Slow down.
Ti vedi qui?
Sì.
Ok, vai.
Hi.
Hi.
What is
The meaning?
the meaning? Why are pagan and religion symbol mean?
Oh yeah. I remember, I get it. It's like Christian and pagan symbols in the same place, and the forest is like a cathedral. Yeah, it's something to do with Ireland's history. We had a strong pagan religion before Christianity, and when Saint Patrick came, it got mixed up. So we had plenty of saints who used to be pagan gods, but then they became Christian saints. And plenty of stories from the time of the Book of Kells are very strange. They have stories of sea monsters and amazing stories that even though they seem to be from the time of Christianity, they're probably from way before. And there is so many monuments in Ireland that show this history. For example, you often find like a holy well where people go to pray, and they don't realize that that place was sacred for so many thousand years before Christianity. So there are still carvings of the old gods in the same place that we have a Christian place of worship. So we wanted to show that the beliefs in the country were layered on top of each other, you know, like rocks, and that the beliefs were very deep. Even though Christianity was the new one, there was an older magic belief below that. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much. Maybe if there is a second question from the class. And so remember to speak very closely from the microphone and quite loud, please.
Hello,
Hi there.
I am Aurora,
Hi, Aurora.
and we believe eyes are
A thread.
a friend of the film. There are many eyes.
Nice.
Hello, my name is Laura.
Parla più forte.
The eyes of Ashling in the forest. The eye of Concratch that give a new vision.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The idea of the eyes is it's first of all there's a symbol on a lot of oh, hello.
Hello, I'm Sophia, and the mom looks like an eye from Pangerban as on high and the hotter green. What is the meaning of
Okay. Well, first the first thing is that the two different color eyes for Pangerbon just shows that he can see both world or she can see both worlds, the human world and the magic world, the world of the fairies. And there's some very old carvings. I have a tattoo of it. See, these carvings are on so many rocks and so big part of so much Celtic, or Irish, and even Scottish and English rune stones that we use that symbol, and it's a little bit like the eye. It's like, what do you see? It's perception. He has an eye that allows him to see more deeply. He's an artist and he needs to see the world in a different way, and so the eye is kind of a symbol running through the whole movie, as well as a reference to these very old markings. You know, a very
And so
clever team.
maybe the third question from your class, Marilena.
Vieni, dai. Veloce, Giada. Ok? Parla voce alta.
Hi, I'm Giada.
Hi there.
At the end of the film, Bernard and Ashley meet, but Ashley is no longer a little girl. She is a white wolf. Has the hatchling girl died?
Okay, thank you. I might repeat it orally for
Oh, I see it's written here. Yeah, Brendan needs.
spectators. Yeah.
Oh, you want to say it?
They want to know if Ashley is dead.
No, it's more
Why
like
she appears as a white wolf only.
yeah. No, I don't think she's dead, but I think Brendan is now an adult, so he can only see her as a wolf. I think she can only appear to him as a little girl when he's a little boy. But I think she's still alive because in the lightning flash, if you look really closely, when the lightning flashes after he comes back at the end, we see her again as a little girl, and then we see the wolf. So we understand at the beginning, she tells us that she can transform into any animal, salmon, deer, wolf, and so we understand that after Brendan grew up, she had to become an animal again and part of the forest again. And Ashling in Gaelic means like a dream or a vision, and there's so many poems in Ireland called the Ashling poem, and it's when the person has a vision of a beautiful woman who is represents Ireland.
Thank you very much. We still have time actually for one more question.
Okay. Last question. Okay. I will ask it. Okay. What is the role of the art director? Do you draw the characters?
Yes, it's a big team. Let me show you some stuff. I'm gonna show some stuff. So the design of the characters changes so much because we work on it for such a long time. And what we try to do is find some way to bring the style of the time period into the characters, you know. So we draw the characters, we design also the backgrounds. We think about the backgrounds. Think a lot about the how can the movie look and how can we tell the story with the visuals. So if you look closely, here's an example where we try to put in the tree, in the bark of the tree, some of the patterns that you see in the Book of Kells, you know. So it's about looking at the real world and then making it into like a cartoon version. So you can see how we look at the real world, the real forest, and then try to find a way to show that in the style of the movie, you know. So it's a big job. You can see there's like so many inspirations from what's really here in Ireland. Like here's the standing stones, and then it finds its way into the movie. So this is kind of the work of the art director, you know, finding a way to design everything that you see in the movie and finding a way to make it based on like there's some real inspiration that we had for the snake for Crom, these deep sea creatures, and then we make sketches to figure out how could it work, and then these are the final designs, you know. So that's the work, that's the job, you know.
Well, thank you so much for the great work, and also thank you very much for the GIF that the student made. It was really pretty. We will send you all the productions from the students from all the 6 classes because they were really wonderful things.
That was so interesting. They went so fast, but I saw that they really understand so much about the movie and they figured out so many connections to the real history. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. And they did really an amazing job. And so now it's time to give the floor to our second class. So it will be the visual art class from Mrs. Tia Viksna from the Zemgale Secondary School from Slampe in Latvia. And so the floor is yours and you have 10 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Marcus, and my
Hi,
question
Marcus.
is, how many people did it take to make the movie?
Whoa, it was a lot. I think about 300 people because we had a team in Ireland, we had a team in Belgium, in France, in Hungary, and in Brazil. So we had it was a big effort by so many artists, you know.
Thank you. And so maybe the second question.
Hello, my name is Laima, and
Hi.
who is this mysterious white girl?
The mysterious white girl, I think, is Ashling, and she's like kind of the spirit of the forest, or even maybe the spirit of Ireland. And like I was saying, the Ashling poem is a tradition in Ireland where the poet will fall asleep and then he will get a message from a beautiful girl, and she is kind of the vision or the dream of Ireland made into a person. And so we decided to make her a fairy, like one of the. They're not fairies like Tinkerbell. The fairies in Irish pagan history were more like people that lived alongside us, but they could be animals, or they could even just be like wind, or just an element of nature. So we made her that. So she's a girl when Brendan needs her to be a girl. She's a friend when he needs another friend that's a child. But then when he grows up, she can just be part of the forest again.
Thank you so much. So maybe the third student, and I'm sure we'll have time for a fourth question afterwards.
Hello, my name is Patrick, and my question sounds like this. What kinds of instruments were used to make the music for the film?
Patrick, you have a great shirt. You have a great background. Just have to say that first. But also, for the movie, we worked with an Irish band called Keela, and they used a lot of traditional Irish instruments. And we have the fiddle, which is like the violin. We have the bowron, which is like a drum, a small drum that you hold in the hand. We have the uilleann pipes, which is a kind of Irish bagpipes, but you play with your arm. You don't have to blow. And then there's lots of instruments that are more classical, like guitar and piano and stuff like that too.
Thank you very much, Patrick. And as Tom said, really nice background. So maybe the fourth question from your school.
Okay, my name is Adrian, and
Hi, Adrian.
my question is, how old was Brandon's uncle at the end of the movie?
Super old, Adrian. He must have been super old. I guess he was about 44. That's pretty old, isn't it?
Okay, thank you very much. So I think it was all the questions we had from the Slampe Zemgale school in Slampe, Latvia. So maybe now we can start with the ninth Harness Secondary School and the class from Joanna Sinodinu. So I will give the floor for 10 minutes as well. And as an introduction, actually, the students wanted to congratulate you and your team for this amazing film with a visual that one of them did. So it is inspired by ancient Greek tradition, just like you were inspired by Irish tradition.
Yeah.
So, congrats.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And so now the floor is yours if you want to ask the first question.
Can I begin?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, my name is Stefanos, and I want to ask you, do you agree that people of Ireland have managed to preserve many cultural elements of their rich heritage, despite the fact that most people today are losing their national identity because of globalization or other factors? If yes, how did you succeed in doing so?
Oh, well, Stephanos, it's not easy, and I feel like our movies are part of an attempt to keep the culture alive for young people. My son went to the school where they speak the Irish language. My wife teaches in the school where they speak the Irish language. But these are popular, but they are like special schools, and they're mostly people who are passionate to keep the language alive because we're basically an English speaking country, and we very easily fall into the culture of America. I think so. We try to. I think sometimes I worry that a lot of what's kept alive is kept alive for tourists. So I think it's important that we keep it alive for kids and the people who live here all the time. And so I think it's very important we have an Irish language channel that focuses on traditional Irish themes, and we also every movie that we make in the Irish language too. Um, and I think that there's a kind of a pride in young people now that we didn't have when I was young, where they take
Piccolo, per esempio, non avevamo, perché all'epoca noi avevamo
sports and things like that. So it's a constant effort to keep it alive.
Thank you very much. And the second question?
Okay, hi, I'm Dimitra, and my question is, can you remember some of the major difficulties you may have had from the moment the first idea was born in your mind until the film was completed? In what ways were they resolved?
It's a really good question. Um, okay, so the idea was really long ago when I was in school, and my friend and I had the idea that we wanted to make something about Irish art and about these type of themes, and to do it a little bit different than we thought maybe Disney would make it, because at the time Disney were making so many movies based on different cultures. We wanted to make the Irish one, but nobody knew who we were. We were just freshly graduated, and we had to convince people to give us the money to do it. So it took us a long time. It took nearly 10 years from when we first had the idea until it was on screen. And during that time, we spent a lot of time developing the style, working on the script, and finding partners all over Europe who would help us to make it. So it was a big challenge. We had to find 6 million euros, so that was very difficult, and it meant that without the partners we had in France and in Belgium and in Hungary, without the European co-production, we could never have made the movie. So it really came down to finding partners, and I think any big project like this really comes down to collaboration and finding good partners.
Yeah, indeed, the production of a film is never an easy story. And so now maybe the third question.
Hello, my name is Joanna, and
Hi.
my question is there anybody from your immediate environment, friends, relatives, or family who inspired you so as to create one or more of the film characters?
Yeah, and that's a good question, and that's a trick that I always use because it takes so long to make an animated film. You spend a long time working on it, and you don't want to get tired of it. So you try and think of people that you know and care about, so that if you base the characters on them, you will continue to like the characters even when it's midnight and you're tired and you have to keep drawing. So Ashling is really based on my sister. Brendan is the name of my son. And Brendan is a little bit mix of me when I was a kid and my son. And the abbot, in fact, is the guy who owns the pub in Kilkenny where all the animators used to go. And brother Aidan is kind of a mixture of the producer, Paul Young, and the writer, Fabrice Lukowski. So everybody is kind of a reflection of the team that worked on it in a way.
Thank you very much. It's great to know that the abbot is actually the reflection of the pub owner in Kilkenny.
He thinks he's really proud of it. He has a big cutout behind the bar of the abbot and a t-shirt, and sometimes American fans come on holidays and they get their picture taken with him, and he has some pictures behind the bar of different fans that got their picture taken with him, so he's very proud of this.
That's very awesome indeed. So thank you very much. Another question from our harness school.
Yes, can I ask? Okay, hello, my name is Daphne, and
Hi, Daphne.
I'm from Harness High School, and
Hello.
my question is, what book or book hero did you love the most when you were a teenager, and why?
Oh, I was a teenager in the 1990s, so it was a long time ago, and I loved Batman. I was crazy about the old Batman movies, and it was when I joined Young Irish Filmmakers that I found out that all the comics I was reading were really based on old myths and legends, and that's when I discovered Irish myths and legends. And there was a comic then called Slania that was about a Celtic warrior, and I really loved that one.
Thank you. And so actually we are really super into the timing. So maybe one last question from our harness school, and still sorry about my accent.
Oh.
Yes, hi, my name is Irene, and my question is, would you say yes to a real-life remake of the film with actors and actresses, and do you think it's feasible?
Thanks, Irene. No, I don't like these kind of movies that take a cartoon and make it live action. I think that cartoons and animation are a special kind of movie, and especially a movie like Secret of Kells, which is based on artwork from a certain period. To me, it's important that the movie looks like the artwork from medieval times, and if it was with live action actors and special effects and everything, I don't think it would say the same thing. I think animation is a different language to live action, and for me, I think it's really a pity that Disney, for example, make a live action version of their cartoons, because I think a cartoon is, for me, it's more timeless. It's more ageless. I mean, this movie is already more than 10 years old, and some of you guys watching it are probably weren't even born when you watched it, but the movie stays fresh. Where if you looked at a movie live action from 10, 15 years ago, I think it would seem really old to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's true that it's something very current, actually, with the cartoon movies being made into live actions.
Yeah.
And so thank you, everyone, and thank you for the kind congratulations word that we will send you with the rest of the students' production. And so
Thanks,
I would now like to give the floor to the class of Mrs. Angela Petrone from the Caterina da Siena Technical Institute in Milan, Italy. And so we were really impressed by the work you did around the film, and we are really sorry because we can't present all of your creations due to the lack of time. Yeah, but of course, Tomm, we will send you all the students' creations, and we will first share a really nice video that the students made. So Pierre, maybe. Yes, thank you.
Wow. Wow. It's really great. Thank you, guys. That's something really nice. It's nice to see your creativity. And it looks like you know how to use the computer really well. Like you're drawing with the computer and everything.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. So now the floor is yours, and I can see the students already ready to ask their questions. So please.
Hello, everyone.
So we couldn't hear you.
I wanted to say that the soundtrack was actually composed by
Oh,
Alexia.
wow. Impressive. Beautiful. Wow. Thank you, man.
Congratulations. Thank you. And so maybe for the
I want to ask on behalf of my class because we was just started our own path to becoming graphic designers.
Mm.
I wanted to ask some advice and also some
Advice on the business on becoming graphic designers, yeah. Well, I think you're in a good start. I mean, the fact that you guys know how to use computers is good, but I don't think you should rely too much on computers, because for me, at least, the basic skills that you use with like pencils and paper and stuff, they're going to be more foundational. The software will always change, and you might be really good at one software and then discover that you work in a studio that doesn't use that software. So what's really good is to have basic skills that can transfer. So I think focus on classic visual language, learn about shape language, color language, everything to do with how you can tell a story or communicate using shapes and colors, and composition. And there's so many good books and tutorials and things online now about that. But in regards to animation and film, there's a book called The Visual Story by Bruce Block that I recommend. And I think you should do lots of life drawing. And I still do lots of life drawing. And I think it helps in so many ways. So the more you can draw from life, the more it's going to inform your kind of commercial work. And collaborate. The biggest thing I learned as a teenager was that I could make something better by working with a team than all alone. And the rest of your career will be working with a team. For all your life, even if you work as an illustrator, you will have an art director, you will have a client. So get used to the emotional intelligence needed to work in a team. And I think that will be really helpful for the rest of your career. That's my advice.
Thank you very much. And so the second question will be more about the costumes, I think. So we will share the screen with what the students made, and then you can also react on it. So
great.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, it's so beautiful. Cool. Wow. Amazing. It's like a dress that my wife can wear to the Oscars or something. Yeah, she would like this. Holy cow. Wow, gorgeous. All the spirals. Wow. I was fast, but it was really nice. Wow. What? These are elaborate gowns. They're beautiful. That's beautiful. It's a bit like Irish dancing outfits. Yeah, I like this a lot.
So maybe if you want to present your work as well. For your question, if you want to ask your question as well as presenting your work.
Hello, good morning.
Hi there.
So Ashling is like a fair shifter creature with magical abilities. And for what reason she didn't wear any pressure, fine gowns, like some sort of fairy dresses very close.
Yeah.
And why was she the only female character in the movie?
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's true. She was the only female character because we had the problem that we set the movie in a monastery, and most of the characters were monks. But we did have some females, but they were more in the background. Like the little girl who was afraid of the Vikings, with the red hair. So Aisling was the only real female character in the movie, and she needed to sort of represent um, an old idea, a more female centered idea that existed before Christianity, that was kind of more like a matriarchy, because back then Ireland had three goddesses that were the kind of creator gods that everybody believed in. So they believed in like a female god before Christianity. That was a big change for Irish people. So Aisling represents that. And as a fairy, I think a lot of those things, like, I think a lot of that comes from Disney. The idea of fairies with nice dresses and sparkles and things. When you read about the Irish fairies, they were more like small people that lived underground, and they weren't so glittery and glamorous. They were more down to earth, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, indeed. I think it was the same in other countries in Europe. So we definitely have time for a third and a fourth question from Catalina da Siena School.
Okay, can I ask it?
Hi there.
So about the scenic design, you take inspiration from any painter or art, some context.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of
Sorry. Could you give us some artistic
artistic context.
context? We thought claimed and the land art.
Yeah, definitely. The land art of Andy Goldsworthy is definitely an influence, because I feel like the way he creates things with what's in the forest already is maybe how people would have expressed themselves in ancient times. We only have these standing stones and old tombs and things to go by. And Gustav Klimt and Alphonse Mucha from the Art Nouveau period were big influences as well, because we felt that their style was a nice mixture of figurative and decorative. When you see the really ancient art that we were referencing, it was mostly just decoration. It wasn't really figurative. It wasn't really showing something. So we looked at Art Nouveau as a way to kind of integrate patterns and designs into real things like trees and buildings and landscapes. So yeah, I think it's always good to reference as many different artists as you can. That way you don't really copy, you just take inspiration from different places and come up with something original, I hope.
Yeah, indeed. It's a beautiful work of art. And so I think we have one last question about inspiration again. So please.
Hello, I'm Lena.
Hi, Lena.
When you were a child, did you ever making drive you to become a filmmaker?
I think I'll just repeat the questions because we couldn't really hear, if that's okay. It's in the chat as well. So it
I
was.
see it in the chat, yeah.
Yeah. If you ever think about making animated films as a child, and what or who inspired you to become a filmmaker, and what was the turning point in your life? I'm sorry, I have to repeat the questions so that people that are following us on YouTube can also follow the discussion, actually.
Good idea. It's a lovely question. Yeah, when I was very young, I loved drawing, and I liked comics. But then I realized there was in the 1980s in Ireland, when I was a small kid, there was a studio in Dublin called the Don Bluth Studio, and they made movies like American Tail and Land Before Time. So it was an American studio, but it was in Dublin in Ireland. And I think that inspired a lot of Irish kids that they could become animators because they could see that it was something that was happening in Ireland. And unfortunately, that studio closed down when I was still studying. So it meant I had to find my own way. I couldn't work for that studio. But I joined a group when I was about 12, I think, 12 years old, called the Young Irish Filmmakers. And it was a really cool group in the 1990s that, and it's still there actually in Ireland, that allowed kids to come together to make movies and to use the equipment, but really to learn about working together to make movies. And the person who ran that was a guy called Mike Kelly. And he's retired now, but he was really good because he knew how to work with young people, and he gave us a lot of power to tell our own stories and to make our own mistakes. And what I really learned was that you should just make a lot of art. Like whatever you want to do it a lot, because you need to do it badly so many times before you do it good. So it's more about process and how you spend your time rather than the final result. If you focus too much on the final result, you'll freeze and you never do anything. But if you let yourself make mistakes and you enjoy the process and working with friends, you learn so much. So yeah, that was a big turning point in my life. I joined Young Irish Filmmakers mostly because there was other kids there that I wanted to spend time with. But in the end, yeah, it changed my life a lot, you know.
Thank you, Tom, for these inspiring answers, and thank you to the students for your great work of art. So we are actually a bit ahead of schedule. So if we still have time at the very end of this masterclass, we will show you a bit of more of the work that the students made.
Oh, great.
So we were really impressed by also a Minecraft recreation of the monastery and our work on the costume that the students made from the school. So
I would love to see that.
Yeah, we will definitely send you all of this. It was really, really fun. It's really good, really beautiful and impressive. And so, of course, we will.
Yes, we want to see pictures to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so now I would like to give the floor to the class of Mrs. Rita Gaviraghi from the Carlo Alberto della Chiesa High School in Sesto Calende in Italy. And so Rita and her students did a very poetic work. They got inspired actually by their direct environment. And so we made them think of the film, of the monastery and of a stone shaped like Rome. So we will now maybe take a moment to show you the series of pictures, and then the floor will be.
Sono le nostre. Oh.
Wow, beautiful.
Wow, beautiful.
That's lovely. There's a short film called The Monk and the Fish by Michael Dudoctowit, and the monastery reminds me of this a little bit.
Okay, we will look for it definitely and share it with Rita's class. So maybe Rita, if you want to have your students ask the first question. Hi, hello.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mary Joyce. So,
Hi, Mary Joyce.
The scene in which Aidan, before dying, gives Brendan the task of bringing the book to the people to make sure everyone knows the goodness produced by it, made us understand that the book is a magical and sacred object, as well as precious. Is this assumption correct? And if it is, then why didn't you highlight the importance of the book by naming the movie The Book of Kells?
Good, very good point. Originally, we wanted to call it The Book of Kells, but the keeper of the book, Bernard Meehan in Trinity College, wasn't comfortable with the fact that we changed so much. We played with the history, so he was a really good consultant and advisor, but he also wasn't comfortable that we called the movie The Book of Kells. Also, interestingly, at the time we had Disney in Ireland was our distributor, and they thought that it sounded boring. They thought that kids wouldn't watch a movie called The Book, something about a book, and they thought The Secret was a better name. So we were okay. I don't know whether they were right or not, but yeah, it's true. We thought a lot about the book. The book is really a Bible, and it has hidden in it the influence of Vikings and Celts and so many other influences. But basically, it's a Bible, and we had to really think about with our co-producers what did we want to say, and we decided that we thought the true importance was more than just the Bible. It was a work of art that survived and was precious and showed collaboration in a time of darkness, and it showed art at a very high level at a time when it was incredibly difficult to be an artist. So we felt that the book, as a source of inspiration and as an artistic masterpiece, was more important than the fact it was a Bible, and more inclusive. And that came mostly from Didier Bruner, who was the French co-producer, and I think he was right. I think he allowed the movie to be more universal when we focused on the broader inspiration potential of it as a work of art. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So the next question, maybe.
Okay, may I ask?
Yeah.
My question is, are wolves important in Irish culture, mythology, and legends?
They were. I like your mask. You look like a werewolf. We had wolves, and Ireland was called Wolfland once upon a time. But a big part of the English colonization of the country was to take away all the wolves and all the forests, and it was kind of symbolic, and so a lot of people are surprised to hear that wolves ever lived in Ireland. People find it hard to imagine that once upon a time there were so many of them that Ireland was called Wolfland. So it's kind of sad, and the last movie we made, Wolf Walkers, is about that, about the legends and mythology of wolves, especially from where I live in Kilkenny.
Okay, thank you very much, and great masks indeed. So next question.
Hi, I'm the teacher. We think that Brandon, as a child, tries to be who he wants to, but that he is often stopped by other people's fears, like his uncles. So we associated the Abbot to adulthood and the impact adults had on children's lives, like their tendency to underestimate them and close them in protective walls. While Aiden's character is like school, he helps us grow and break down our walls. So is our interpretation correct, considering the fact that the movie's historical context is very different from our own?
Yeah, wow, very good question and very interesting question. The first thing I have to say is I like that you consider school a place that helps you to grow and break down walls. I think you have a nice school. I think schools have become better because when I was a kid, I went to a school here in Kilkenny that was very the opposite, and it was hard to be an artistic kid in that school, and it was hard to be different, so I'm really glad that your school encourages that. And to us, Aidan was more like Mike Kelly in Young Irish Filmmakers, because in school we felt we couldn't really be ourselves or even be really artistic. It wasn't encouraged, but when we went to Young Irish Filmmakers after school or on weekends, we felt we had a much better space to work and to learn and to be ourselves a little bit. So yeah, and there's a theme for some reason that I worked through in all the movies. You'll see in all the movies, Song of the Sea, Wolf Walkers and Secret of Kells, where I think it's very often that the antagonist in our lives when we're young are our parents. And I mean, I'm a parent, I'm a grandfather now, so I know the feeling. You want to keep your kids safe, but it's such a hard balance to keep them safe and at the same time allow them to live according to what they need to do to grow in themselves. And so you can be overprotective sometimes, and it means that you become the antagonist in the child's life while trying so hard to be positive, you know, to take care of them. So I think that's a challenge for all families, and it continues to be a challenge for every generation between young people and older people, and it's very hard to get that balance right. And you could be critical of Aiden, you know, he sends a little boy out into the woods on his own, and maybe that's what Brendan needed to do, but it's also pretty dangerous. So it's a kind of a difficult balance in life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also always a balance between trust and safety, right? And
Yes.
so I can see the third or fourth question, sorry, from
Hi, I'm Alessandro, and I'd like to ask um, if the book bans the sinners who gaze upon it, why didn't blind the Northmen when they opened it in the forest before throwing it on the ground?
Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? I don't think they could read. I think for a start they didn't know what they were looking at, you know. And also I think that was kind of one of the myths around the Book of Kells, and when you see that, it's quite cartoony, and you know, it seems exaggerated. Like they believe that Cullum Kill had like third eye growing out of his head and extra arms and everything, so I think they were a little bit exaggerated, those stories. So the reality is that the book doesn't have magic powers, and it's sad because the Northmen don't understand its value, and they rip the pages out, but they keep the gold cover. And that's true. That's true history. The book was stolen by Vikings, and they they found the pages afterwards, buried. But the cover they never found again because the cover was made from gold, and that's what they thought was important. They didn't realize that the really important part was what they threw away.
Okay, that was very interesting, and we didn't know all the insights of the story. And so we still have time for another question. So hi.
Hi, I'm Lara, and I'd like to ask why did you use soft lines for the good characters and square and harsh lines for the evil ones like the Northmen?
Yeah, that was something that we talked about a little bit at the beginning. Is like, what's the visual language that we can use? Like, what's the like when you make a drawing, you have the choice to use every part of the drawing to tell the story. And so for us, we decided to use curvy, flowy lines like the illustrations in the book to show the forest and the characters, like you say, that are good. And then the Northmen are much more jagged, and they have a harsh outline with a lot of roughness, and they're also very square, and they're the opposite of flowing. They're rigid. They don't see past. They don't let things flow one into the other. So we use that shape language to show the difference. So it's a kind of visual language, you know, that I think animation is special because we can tell the story with just the shapes and the way the characters are drawn, not just what they say or how they move or what they do.
Thank you very much. It's thank you for the information as well as for those in-depth questions from the students.
Yeah.
Like we really feel that there was a huge analysis of the movie, and really we are really impressed.
I want to say that the questions are better than most journalists when they ask me questions. These are really good questions.
True. Thank you really much. And so now we will give the floor to the last class of the day, who are actually Irish, just like you, Tom. So this is the art class of Mr. Ian Lacey from the St. Killian's German School in Dublin. And so the students from Mr. Lacey's class wanted to show you some of their works. And so we will send the drawings to you, but they also created a small animation film that we will now display. And so then the students will ask questions more regarding animation and cartoon styles in a broader sense. So thank you very much. And maybe now the first question.
Hello,
Hi there.
I'm Declan from St. Killian's.
Hey, Declan.
Yeah, Cartoon Saloon now kind of has a kind of trilogy of films with the Celtic folklore at their center. And I was curious, are you wondering? Well, it seems apparent that you really want to pursue more of those, and I'm just wondering, like,
Quindi mi
how
chiedevo se quanto si vuole appunto esplorare ancora di più questo tipo
myths will you look at next?
Thanks, Declan. Yeah, no, honestly, I think I'm finished for now with this trilogy. I think it's going to be interesting what I do next. I mean, the studio is busy with very different projects. My Father's Dragon is set in America, and Puff and Rock is based on the TV show. And we have a new feature called Julian is a Mermaid that's set in like Caribbean culture. So it's very different. And for me personally, I think I don't know about the style. I think my style will evolve a bit, but I'd like to look at the connection between Irish people and other cultures. I'm really interested in the fact that there's a connection between Irish people and Native American culture, or Aboriginal, Australian Aboriginal culture. And I'm really fascinated by those connections, and I'd like to look for stories in that tradition. So that's what I'm researching at the moment.
Hi, my name is Neve. My question is, if you could remake the film, what would you make differently?
Yeah, good, really good question. I'm a little bit embarrassed by some of the character designs. I think we wanted to show people from all over the world, but I feel like some people felt that the way we drew the Chinese monk and the African monk could have been more sensitive. So I'd like to, if I could redo that, I would change that. And I also would like to make the ending more explicit. I think people found it a little bit confusing sometimes, and I would like to make it a little bit clearer. And I think it was really a case of it was my first movie. Myself and Nora were quite ambitious, and I think maybe with what we learned from the movies we made afterwards, we learned about just a little touch of tone that what could have been clearer. But overall, I'm still really proud of the movie.
When you first started Cartoon Saloon,
Hiya.
Hi, I'm Alex, and
Hi, Alex.
When you first started Cartoon Saloon, were you expecting it to have become so popular both inside and outside of Ireland?
Nope, definitely not. When we started Cartoon Saloon, we were kind of thinking that we would use it to pay the bills while we tried to make The Secret of Kells. And we kind of thought if we made Secret of Kells, it would be a way to launch our careers and get jobs, real jobs probably in America or somewhere, Paris or London, where there was more animation work. I don't think we expected to still be running the studio 20 years later. So we've had fantastic success, and we feel really lucky, and really, really glad about that,
Hi, hello, I'm
Hi
Killian.
there.
It's a
Hiya.
pleasure to meet you.
You too, Killian.
One of my questions was, this year you created a movie with Apple TV Plus. What was the process of that, which went on to be an Oscar nominee?
Oh wow. It was the same as the others. It was just a European co-production, and we worked again with Didier Brunner in Paris and Stefan Rolos in Luxembourg and their teams, and we put the finance together and we started production. And then we met with Apple TV, and they were interested to buy the rights for outside of Ireland and the co-production countries. And so for us, that was a huge opportunity. And they brought a lot of marketing power. They put a lot of work into it. And it was pretty amazing how much different it was to have a movie released by such a big company compared to before, when we always had to work with smaller companies, So It was good. I mean, it was really good. I think it's a pity that more people don't have Apple TV, or people don't realize that they can watch it for free on Apple. They think they can't see it because it's on Apple TV. So for me, it's a bit of a challenge, as usual, to get the audience, and especially with the cinemas closed, not many people could go to see it in the cinema. So I'm looking forward to when we lift the restrictions in Ireland, we can re-release it in cinemas and give people a chance to watch it on the big screen. But basically, I would say it was a very good relationship with Apple TV. They were very supportive, and they didn't make us change anything or ask us to change anything. And instead, they just boosted the signal much higher than we've ever had before. So they've been great partners. I'd love to work with them again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I see there is still time for other questions. So I think Ian's class prepared more than 5. So please go ahead. I see Alex back here.
Hi, I'm Alex again.
Hey, Alex.
During the production of the movie, were there any plot changes that you had made or deliberated?
On Secret of Kells.
Yeah.
It's a while ago now. I think at the very beginning the story focused much more on the adults, and this is a problem I've had on all my movies. And originally Brendan was like an apprentice, and he was always an apprentice to the abbot, but that Aidan also had an apprentice who was an older guy, and we kind of ended up mixing Brendan's character with that other character, and making Brendan the main character. At one point, Aisling was going to be more like, Galadriel from Lord of the Rings, more like a mother figure to Brendan, like a woman character in the woods. And we realized that wasn't as interesting as having a little friend for him, like another little girl. So we made Aisling a little girl, which was a big change that happened while we were writing the script. I think those are the main changes, focusing on Brendan as the primary character. And then focusing on Aisling being a child friend for Brendan rather than another mentor that just was an adult, Oh, hero's journey, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So we still have time. I think some of your students had prepared other questions. So maybe if there is a volunteer from your class who wants to go again. All right, so maybe as we still have, okay, I see someone coming, perfect.
Hello again.
How's it going?
Good. So I was lucky enough. I got to see Wolf Walkers in cinema, and
good man.
I found the Wolf Vision animation that's kind of first person perspective really, really interesting. And it really felt really felt evocative of Hayao Miyazaki's flight scenes, particularly from Laputa Castle in the Sky, which he also filmed from first person perspective. And I was just wondering, did that play any role in the creative process, or was it just kind of coincidence? And how did you kind of figure to include Wolf Vision in the movie?
Wow, good question. Well, the Wolf Vision was something that we thought was important because we wanted to show the point of view of the characters when they saw the world as a wolf, which was quite fascinating for us, that scent and sound would be more important than color in the world of a wolf because they don't have the same color vision as we have. So we knew we wanted to include that. And it's true, Miyazaki has always been a big influence, but more than anything else, the Takahata film, The Tale of Princess Kaguya, which was his last movie he made before he died, that was a big influence on the movie. And I think that was mostly the influence for Wolf Vision, the way that it was using very rough pencil strokes and very dynamic pencil sketches. That was the main influence, I would say. But thank you for such an animation what's the word, animation sensitive question. You know your stuff.
Thank you very much. We feel that they are future professionals, animation professionals.
For sure,
here, so
for sure.
Thank you very much. I'm sure the future of European animation is Well,
Oh,
yeah.
I have to say I'm really, really excited by what the next generation will bring. I feel like they're more and more free and more creative and more intelligent about what they want to do. I think it's an exciting time. Oh, here's Kira, Manor House School in Dublin.
Yeah, exactly. We have actually still 15 minutes left, so maybe we can take some questions in the chat. I see that there is Giovanna Ferrara who asked the question right before. So it was, what are the names of the other films you've made?
Well, me personally, I've directed or co-directed 3 feature films: The Secret of Kells, Song of the Sea, and Wolfwalkers. But in Cartoon Saloon, my partner Nora Toomey has made The Breadwinner, which is a feature film, and plenty of short films. And Louise Bagnall, who is another director in our studio, made a short film called Late Afternoon. And Adrien Mergeau, who was the art director on Song of the Sea, made a movie called Old Fangs. So yeah, there's quite a lot of different. I mean, there's more short films than that we made in the studio, but those are the big ones, especially the features.
Okay, thank you. And so, as you said, I see a questions from Chiara Power from Manor High School in Dublin, who actually is also one of the teachers from the Teachers Focus Group who worked on the educational kits.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, thank you, Chiara, for being here with us. And so they have a question. I will read it out loud for everyone. So the students would like to know who has been your favorite character to design so far.
Oh, that's a really tough question because they all have a special place. I think lately I really enjoyed Maeve from Wolfwalkers. I didn't design her alone, but I had a big part in it. And also Robin, because she was based on my wife when she was a little girl. And what's so cute is I have a little 3-year-old granddaughter that was born while we were making Wolfwalkers, and she's starting to look a lot like Robin with the blonde hair and everything. So that's kind of fun to see the characters come back. But it's hard to pick one because Brendan was based on David O'Reilly, who was a young guy who's now an animation director himself in the studio. Ben in Song of the Sea was based on my own son. Saoirse was based on my little niece. So I don't know, it's hard. They're all people I really important people in my life, young people in my life. So it's hard to pick one.
Thank you. And so I see a question from Christos, sorry for my pronunciation in Greece, from Lissouri High School in Greece. So how important are the Oscar nominations for you, your work? How do they affect you?
That's a good question. The first Oscar nomination changed my life. We didn't expect it. We had no idea. We had no marketing budget. And somehow, by word of mouth, Academy members nominated Secret of Kells. And that was like winning an Oscar because immediately what was a small movie that had kind of failed in the Irish box office got all this attention all over the world, and it kind of reinvigorated interest in the film, in Secret of Kells, and in the studio, Cartoon Saloon. So it was huge, and it meant that I had been considering stopping working in Secret of Kells and taking a job in America, and it made me change my mind and decide, no, I'm going to keep going and try to make Song of the Sea and all the other ones. And then after that, the Oscar nominations have been lovely. I mean, it's lovely recognition that everybody who works in the animation world votes for us and says what we're making is important or interesting or something they want to see more of. So that means a lot for us, and it gives a lot more publicity, a lot more people hear about our movies. So that's really good, so they're very useful in that way. It can be a little bit hard to explain to people that just being nominated is really the most you can expect when you're in a world with huge companies like Disney and DreamWorks, because everybody starts to go, oh, I'm so sorry you didn't win. But for us, being nominated is really a win, and we know that winning is almost impossible. So for us, it's fantastic just to be nominated.
Thank you very much. I see that there is one of the students from Rita's class who might have a question to ask. So the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Sabrina.
Hi, Sabrina.
Does brother Aiden's white cat Pangur bun have any particular significance, or is it just a simple pet? Because we found out that Pangur bun's existence as a real mythological creature is confirmed in a poem written by an Irish monk in the 19th century that bears the same name as the cat, Pangurban. And that the name Pangurban means whiter than white.
Yeah, that's true. That's where we got the idea. When I was in school, we learnt the poem Pangerbon in Irish and in English, and so I remember that he was probably or she was probably the only character that we're pretty sure really existed that's in the movie. And yeah, we tried to make Pangerbon be a kind of a link between the fairy world and the real world, and that's why she's the one that can go in the forest and find Ashling amongst the wolves and bring her back to help Brendan escape and stuff. So she's the cat is a kind of a link between the human world and the fairy world in the story.
Thank you so much. And so as we still have time, maybe we can show you another video from Angela's Petrone's class. As we said, there were many materials, and so we will send you, of course, once again, everything. But as we still have time, as a small bonus, and to sum up the masterclass, we will share our screen and show you this.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I really enjoyed this morning.
Could you put the soundtrack as well?
Wow. Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm excited to tell Nora and everybody about all that work, and it's so cool. We made a movie a long time ago, and the fact that it still inspires people is very gratifying. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and thank you also to everyone who participated and to the students for your questions and for the discussion, for the productions, the works of art, and thank you, Tomm, for those answers. It was really a pleasure for you all here with us today, but sadly the masterclass is coming to an end. So before leaving, I would like to give the floor to Tomm to conclude this event, and to Emily for a final thank you word.
Tomm, you go first.
Oh, I just want to say thanks to everybody. And as I said, it's lovely. And I see some lovely messages in the chat as well. Thank you so much. I like this idea that there's two words in Greek for amusement or entertainment. One is to scatter away people's sorrows, and the other is to lead the soul. And thanks for both. That's so beautiful. I'm going to try and remember that, though I won't try to pronounce the Greek words. I know I'll fail.
Thank you very much again. And yes, thank you very much, Tomm. That was very inspiring, and thank you for sharing your experience. I think that was a very important moment for all those students here today. And thank you to all the students for your tremendous work. It was really, really great to be able to listen to you and to watch all your creative work. We are all very impressed by all you've done. So congratulations. And of course, thanks again to Tomm, and thanks again to the Bergamo Film Meeting that enabled us to organize this all together today. We are very happy, and we hope to see you all soon. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Slán. Anna.